own adorable pet, my sweet, loving, and smart tricolor Cavalier King Charles Spaniel, Lexi. We had options, of course. I just happened to have met a whole new slew of comrades in my pet sitter profession, and I'd finished my brisk walk along the meandering backyard path and stopped short at the cage's location. The cage was still there, but I didn't see the iguana. "Come on out of your cave, Saurus," I called. Did I smell bad today? Was that why these specific clients were shunning me? Assuming iguanas actually give a damn about odor. The 3 dogs and 2 cats I'd visited earlier had all been happy to see me, especially when I'd walked and fed them, as I'd intended to do with Zibble. Saurus's care was considerably different. When he didn't immediately shamble into sight, I bent down to peer into the area of his cage that had been constructed as an iguana hideaway. I saw neither nose nor tail near the exit. In fact, I saw nothing inside resembling a reptile. Only emptiness. "Saurus!" I shouted. Of course, the cave was shrouded in shadows, but still, shouldn't there be a sign of occupancy, like a larger shape taking up space? I carefully unlatched the cage door and maneuvered myself so I could reach inside the cave. Saurus had been handled and socialized since Edmund had acquired him, or so the producer had told me. That meant he was unlikely to attack my hand, as some iguanas were reputed to do. But not only did Saurus bite or slap me with his tail, he didn't exist inside the empty space where my hand groped fruitlessly. Frightened, I snatched back my fingers and relatched the cage door. What, was I worried the lizard would sneak back in? Where was he? And where was Zibble? I quickly circled the cage, hoping beyond hope that I had somehow overlooked the 3-foot-long iguana, or that the Shar-Pei would prance up with the other pet gently in his jaws. Only then did I notice the piece of paper pinned to the wooden frame beneath a pane of glass. "What the—" I began, reaching for the sheet. I stopped short. On the paper was a computer-generated note, contrived to resemble a cliched story from the past. The words and letters looked pasted unevenly on the page from magazines and newspapers, most in unmatched fonts. No matter that the aesthetic stank, it was the contents that really unnerved me. "I have the dog and iguana. Be prepared to pay for them when you hear from me the next time, or you will never see them again. And don't call the cops." So what if petnapping wasn't exactly murder? It took the LAPD almost an hour to arrive, and then the officers who appeared weren't my old adversary, buddy, homicide detective Ned Norales. Yes, I'd call the cops. Norales, at least, since I knew him. I couldn't twiddle my thumbs until the next ransom note arrived. I'd other avenues too, of course, and I intended to exhaust them all ASAP. The better to get my charges home safe, sound, and soon. I'd requested discretion from Norales after explaining the situation briefly, including that I was forbidden from calling in law enforcement. He'd promised to help. But before I began shrieking after answering the Dorgan door, I realized that he hadn't actually promised to come. The 2 cops I'd buzzed through the security gate and now admitted into the house were also detectives, but not any I'd met over the multiple murder investigations I had been involved in over the last many months. Did I happen to mention that I'm a murder magnet? That's a whole other story, one I didn't intend to get into now. Nor did I want to think of another note I'd received some weeks ago, stuck in my car window while I was investigating a murder. It had threatened Lexi, but all had been resolved without harming a hair on her cute canine head, thank heavens. I checked their badges before admitting these cops. One, a tall, bony female, was Detective Mabel Madero. The other, an even taller, heavier male, was Detective Dominic Flagg-Smith. "Where's Detective Norales?" I asked as I ushered them into the vaulted, beamed entryway. "On another case." Detective Madero stared at me down a long nose, as if asking how I dared to ask for as august a personage as a homicide detective at something as paltry as a petnapping. Or maybe I simply read all that into her sneer. "But I wasn't supposed to call the police at all," I said. "Can I trust you to keep this quiet?" "First, let's see whether a crime was committed," said Detective Flagg.